Hello there everyone and welcome back to the channel. Its-A-Mii here, and today I am talking about the games I played in March of 2025. Now, unfortunately, I have not finished as many games as I would have liked compared to previous months so far this year, but I was very sick for the first couple of weeks, and then in the back half of March, I've been very busy preparing for the Switch 2 April Direct. I'm also recording this video a little bit early to get ahead on videos before my trip to New York for the Switch 2 hands-on experience, and also just covering the Switch 2 Direct. I'm trying to get ahead on everything, so I have as much time as possible to play Xenoblade Chronicles X, which I really wish Nintendo was releasing at a better time. So no impressions on that here in this video. We'll talk about it next month, but also I will have a review maybe by the time you even see this. I just wanted to go ahead and record it and kind of get it out of the way while I prepare a ton of videos for the next 2 weeks. With that said, I did still manage to get some decent game time in with a few games. Updates on last month. So Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, I am done with, or almost done with. So this was the first time I had ever gone for the complete Pokédex in this game in particular. Most of the Switch era games I've 100%ed. I've gotten all the Pokemon, and some of them I even have a living dex, which is when you have one of every Pokemon in your box at the same time. However, my goal was to get the little Pokemon home reward, where if you have the completed Let's Go Pikachu Pokédex, you get a special, I think it was a shiny Manaphy or something. It was something weird like that in Pokemon Home. I didn't realize that you need to, not only do you need to 100% it in the game, but you also need to have all of the Pokemon from that game specifically deposited into Pokemon Home, which isn't the biggest deal in the world, but it has made it a little annoying because you can't breed in this game, so I'm missing a couple of Pokemon that I need to deposit from Let's Go Eevee that I just can't get until Olivia gets a little bit further. Specifically, Coughing, I know, is one that I need, as well as I think I can get Kabuto. There's a couple that are exclusive to Let's Go Eevee that I just have no way of getting right now. So I completed the Pokédex in-game. I just don't have one of each to complete the Pokédex on Pokemon Home. But still, had a lot of fun at replaying this game, revisiting it after so many years. Very underrated. I really didn't love it that much when it first came out, but all these years later, you know, through a different context of it not being the first Pokemon game on Switch, or, you know, not thinking about it that way, very good game. Really fun. Great remake of Kanto. I really enjoy the Pokemon being in the overworld. Shiny hunting is fun. This is a pretty underrated Pokemon game in my opinion. And now we have a lot of PS5 stuff to talk about. This one stings a little bit. So I mentioned it last month how much I was enjoying it. I was like 7 hours in, and to be honest with you, I'm like 8 hours in now, so I haven't played it too much, but Its-A-Mii, just wanted to give it a shout out again. I feel really bad. This is one of those things where new releases came out, I got distracted, and then by the time I was ready to go back to it, I was like, oh, I'm out of it. So, Its-A-Mii, I love you. I really liked what I played of it. I will have to come back to it another time when Xenoblade's not out and when the Switch 2 isn't about to happen. So I feel really bad that it got dropped in the shuffle of all the new releases of March. But speaking of those new releases, I did pick up this on an impulse. Definitely like one of those things where I saw everybody hyping it up and I was like, oh, I should pick this up. I should check it out. And I liked what I played of it. I probably put 5 or 6 hours in, so not that much. I didn't finish the story, but I did get the Steelbook edition here of Monster Hunter Wilds. Kind of regret buying it. Not because the game's bad or anything, just like, I was like, oh, I'm gonna have time to play this. And then I was sick and didn't have time to play, and I didn't feel like playing it. So Monster Hunter Wilds, very good from what I did play, but not something I put a ton of time into. I know people already have like hundreds of hours in this game somehow. I put like 5 hours in, and I was like, yeah, it's more Monster Hunter. It's pretty good. It wasn't really hooking me quite as much as World did, or even Rise, which I didn't finish either. But it's good. It's more Monster Hunter. I think Monster Hunter is very much, at least for me, one of those games that it's like, you need to be in the right zone to play it. And while, you know, like I said, I was kind of like peer pressured, almost like, oh, there's so much hype for this game, I was peer pressured into buying it. After buying it and playing it for 5 hours, I was like, okay, maybe not right now, but when the first DLC comes out next year, or, you know, first major expansion, maybe I'll jump back in and catch up. Maybe if it comes to Switch 2, I play it on there or something. I do want to give it more time. Just March, not a great time for me to be putting, you know, 100 hours into that, especially once again with Xenoblade being out now. Next up is a game I did a full review on. You can check out that if you want some more in-depth thoughts. But from Hazelight and EA, we have Split Fiction here, the latest co-op adventure from Joseph Fares, the creator of It Takes Two, A Way Out, as well as Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons. This game is really good. I don't want to repeat myself too much if you watch my review, but If you like co-op games, this is an absolute must-play. No one's really doing it like Hazelights. The amount of variety and mechanics here especially is what really blew me away. There is just constantly new game types being experimented with here, new mechanics being thrown at you, but not in a way that, at least for me, felt too overbearing. The story is interesting, the characters are pretty good visually, there are some specific sections that are just absolutely breathtaking. One small criticism is that I feel like their interpretation of sci-fi is it's a little basic. So you have your two characters, Mio and Zoe. Mio is a sci-fi author and Zoe is a fantasy author. And I feel like the fantasy levels got a little bit more love and attention and just unique plots and unique settings than sci-fi. It felt like for sci-fi in this game, they're just like futuristic space shuttle. You know, there's very few times in this game where it doesn't feel like you're just on an alien planet or something, and I feel like sci-fi is a lot more than that, as someone who really loves sci-fi. So yeah, I don't know. I didn't like that part, but overall, mechanically, extremely fun game. Definitely recommend it to play with a friend or a loved one, your partner, whatever. Really great game. And the awesome thing about these EA Joseph Fares games is that if you buy a copy, you can just have a friend play for free, either locally, obviously, or even online. If you have a friend online you want to play this with, they can get a friend's pass, so you only need to buy one copy of the game. I think it's $50. Yeah, Split Fiction is definitely the best game I played this year. I haven't played too many new releases. Dynasty Warriors Origins would probably be my runner-up at this point in time, but yeah, this is a really good game. Definitely recommend it. Now, as is a tradition, whenever there's a million things happening at once, for some reason my brain hyperfixates on one thing, and I'm like, oh, I should play that right now, even though I knew I didn't have time for it, and at the time of recording, I think I've already kind of fallen off, but I do want to finish this before the sequel comes out. We got a new, meaty 10-minute trailer for Death Stranding 2, and this is one of the few PlayStation 4 era first-party Sony games that I just kind of missed. I bought it when it came out, I played a little bit of it, but it wasn't hooking me. The gameplay, especially in those early hours, was not getting me there. However, I decided to boot up Death Stranding Director's Cut, and this is the furthest I've gotten, like 6 hours, and it's good. I really love the story. Very beautiful game. I love when you're just doing deliveries and like the low roar music starts playing. It's very kind of zen or serene. It's very cool, but early hours of gameplay, it's kind of, I don't know, you're just doing deliveries. I know it gets more interesting. I've heard so many people say the gameplay gets better. I think, similar to Monster Hunter, actually, Death Stranding is a game that I would really click with at a certain time, in a certain place in my life, maybe listening to podcasts or something, but then, you know, the music is there, so you want to have the music playing. I don't know. I really like the story and the setting and world. It's a very unique, crazy world. Kind of, you know what I'm talking about with Split Fiction? There's nothing like this in there. There's no weird, wacky sci-fi stories. It's all just very sterile stuff. This is like an extremely unique sci-fi story from Kojima, so I am going to finish this before June 26th. I am committed to that. This is one of the games I mentioned at the end of last year that I want to finish. So I started it now, and I got like 5 or 6 hours in, enjoying it, but gameplay's still kind of iffy, but I know it gets better. So yeah, I will be finishing this over the coming months, but it might be on hold for a couple of weeks here as we ramp up with Xenoblade X, and then also the Switch 2 Direct, and then who knows when that console's coming out, because if that thing comes out in June, then it might be an issue. It might be an issue trying to finish this before DS2 comes out. Next up is a Sony-published game that I had no intention of playing or picking up. However, I think my friend Tucker got a code for it, and it's another game where if you have one person who owns the game, they can like invite you for free. And it's this game called Midnight Murder Club from the creators of Mario Kart Live, as well as Knockout City. So a little bit of a weird pedigree there, but this was announced at the Game Awards, and it's Sony published. For some reason, they didn't market it at all. The game, from what I can tell, completely bombed on like Steam charts and everything. Doesn't seem very active, even on launch day, for the early access anyway, because it's in early access right now. Even then, it was still like, it would take a little bit to find matches, and that's really sad because this is a really unique game. Definitely feels like one of those flavor of the month, play with your friends, wacky, lethal company type games where you have proximity chat. But the basic idea here is it's a deathmatch game, but you are in this mansion and it's pitch black and you have flashlights and you can toggle them on and off. And I think it's 6 players exactly. There's tons of different modes. There's one I really like called Wild Cards, where you can put different game modifiers in. You all can pick one each, so you never really know what you're gonna get. So there's a lot of stuff like, like the old school big head mode, or maybe a mode where the players are all tiny, or a mode where you can have like a light trail following behind you in the dark, so it's easier for other players to track you down, or maybe one where you only have one bullet in your revolver. Really unique gameplay mechanics that you can have here. There's also more standard stuff like regular deathmatch, free-for-all, that kind of thing. Really fun if you have the right group of friends to play with. My issue with games like this is I have a lot of fun playing them for a couple times, and then I'm like, oh, I'm going to try to play more when my friends are offline or if they don't want to or something, and you try to queue up with randoms, and it hasn't been as much of an issue with this in particular, but a lot of the time, people just don't use mics anymore, man. They don't want to turn their mic on and talk, which is so weird to me because this is a PS5 game. The PS5 has a microphone built into the controller. I don't know why you would play a game like this online with randoms and not talk. I miss the days of Xbox Live and even like PS3, even early PS4. It felt like people were using voice chat all the time. And I'm very nostalgic for that era. I grew up in that era, down in the trenches in those games. Call of Duty, my beloved. Midnight Murder Club. I've had some fun experiences with randoms on voice chat, but there are also matches where no one's talking, and that basically defeats the entire point of the game, because otherwise it's just kind of like a janky, indie-feeling FPS where you have a flashlight. Definitely has its moments. It's only $20. I was thinking about maybe going for the Platinum. It seems pretty achievable. I definitely worry for Villan and the team and this game in general because it's in early access right now, and based on the player numbers that I've seen, I don't really think this game is going to have much longevity. But if you have the right friend group, it is a lot of fun, and I don't play on PC, so I've never actually even played something like Lethal Company. I think Repo is the one blowing up right now. So this is kind of my first experience with one of these like really proximity chat-based games, and it's just a lot of fun. Maybe it's not that unique compared to a Lethal Company or these other games, but me and my friends did have fun playing it at least a few times. And like I said, I would like to maybe play more and go for the Platinum. I think it would maybe take 15 hours. We probably played it for 5 or 6 hours. Just a nice little surprise. Nothing too major. I don't know why Sony didn't market it because it was announced at the Game Awards. There was a State of Play in February, and it wasn't even in that State of Play. I don't know why they just sent it out to die. It's like, this could have been, I think, a game that like really kind of hit the zeitgeist, at least for a few weeks, as, like I mentioned, the flavor of the month, right? There's always that one. I feel like if they had marketed it, it could have been that, but as it stands, it's already kind of hard to find a match, which is not a good sign for this game. And then finally, barring Xenoblade X, which as I mentioned, I will hopefully already have a review up for, because it's not even out when I'm recording this video, I have put way more time than I ever expected this month into Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1+2 Remake. So at the beginning of March, Activision announced that they were doing a remake of Pro Skater 3+4, and I actually never played those ones growing up. And when the remake of 1 and 2 came out, I picked it up on PS4, and I played it for, I don't know, a couple of hours, but I didn't like do all the goals in each level. I didn't even unlock every level. So when they announced 3+4 Remake, I was like, you know what? I really enjoy some good Tony Hawk. Let me pop that back in. And this has been a game throughout the entirety of March that I just keep loading up. If I like have 5-10 minutes, I just load it up instinctually almost. I think this might be a perfect video game, and that sounds kind of crazy to say, but the more I play it, the more you learn the mechanics. It's really just kind of flawless. They did an incredible job here. For some history with me and Tony Hawk, me and my buddy Tony Hawk, you know what I'm saying? No, but I grew up playing Pro Skater on N64. I had the N64 version, the blue cartridge with the limited soundtrack and the awful graphics. That was one of my games growing up. That is one of my childhood games. Superman is a song that is ingrained in my mind. Honestly, I think Superman and by extension Goldfinger, I think they were like the first band I ever really got into as a kid, which definitely shaped my interest in music. Real Big Fish also on the soundtrack, some ska as a kid on my little Sony MP3 player. But I played it growing up. Then I played Tony Hawk's Underground on PS2, as well as American Wasteland, and I really enjoyed those games. I would love for Underground to get a remake collection, but going back and playing this remake of Pro Skater 1+2, I mean, it's immaculate. I don't know how else to say it. I think if you like skateboarding games and you play this, you can immediately tell it's of a higher, quality than a lot of other stuff, especially after a drought of Tony Hawk games. You know, some of the late 360 era ones and PS3 era ones, those were not good. You had the Wii motion-based ones that people didn't like. And then you had Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5, which we'll talk about in just a second. I did play that, just kind of messing around with it. Vicarious Visions understood the assignment. They knew exactly what they needed to do with this game, and I've done several playthroughs at this point, doing all of the challenges, all of the goals. I was thinking, once again, talking about platinum trophies, I wanted to go for the platinum in this game, but it is a huge grind. So each level, you have 2 minutes to do all the goals, and I did all those multiple times with different characters, my own creative character, Tony Hawk, a couple other skaters that are in the game. And then you also have in-game challenges that consist of very specific, like, okay, you need to jump over this gap, do a trick over this gap, do this hard get there, which is basically grinding on like a rail or something, then like a, you know, piece of a sidewalk or something to get to a certain point, and it's like a combo you need to do. There's really hard challenges like that, which that in of itself, I could do that, that's fine. But then there's also a trophy for getting to level 100, and after putting like 40 hours into this game in March, I'm only level 50. And I've already done a lot of the easy challenges, so I'm getting way less XP. It's a grind. You basically just have to sit there and grind this game out. So I don't think I'll be doing that. I don't think I'll be spending that much time in it. Also, the online either is down or completely dead. I can't really tell. I showed the PS4 copy here. I did pay for the $10 PS5 upgrade that was available. It was on sale. I was like, sure, why not? I don't know if there's crossplay between PS4 and PS5. Maybe that's why I can't find a lobby, because I imagine most people don't own it on PS5, so I'm not sure if there's crossplay there. They did say 3+4 will be crossplay between all platforms, which is really cool. But yeah, Pro Skater 1 and 2, immaculate skateboarding game. I wasn't expecting to put so much time into it this month. I was putting the disc in like, oh, I'll play this for a few minutes just to, you know, kind of get my bearings with Tony Hawk again. But no, I put a ton of time into this. I don't know why it didn't click back in 2020 as much when I played it then. I had a lot of fun. I was like, oh, very nostalgic warehouse school, you know, these are iconic skateboarding levels. But I only played it for, you know, like I said, maybe 5, maybe 10 hours, but I didn't even unlock all the stages. I was just, you know, kind of messing around. I think back then I played some online, actually, because it was, you know, playable. But coming back to it now, I'm just really happy I decided to check it out again, because now 3+4 Remake are high on my most anticipated list. I cannot wait for the remake of those to come out, because I never played those ones growing up. I had Pro Skater 1, I had Pro Skater 2, and I had Underground and American Wasteland. Never played Pro Skater 3 or 4. I know there's some controversy right now with 4, specifically because they're removing the career mode, which was the first time in a Tony Hawk game where you could like walk around and like have NPCs and stuff. Maybe you couldn't walk around. Maybe that was new to Underground, but it had like quests and like bigger maps and that kind of thing. I don't think there was a 2-minute timer, but they're basically reworking all of the Pro Skater 4 levels into having a 2-minute timer and goals and stuff. As someone coming off of Pro Skater 1+2 and just absolutely loving it, as someone who didn't grow up with Pro Skater 4, I'm just excited to have more levels to play, honestly. So while I understand that's a big issue for a lot of people, and it is disappointing it's not getting a faithful remaster, if this game comes out and is even remotely on the same quality level as Pro Skater 1+2, I'm putting 50 hours in it. It's going to be my game of the summer. Like, I'm going to put so much time into that. It's already announced for all platforms, including Switch. I wonder if there'll be a Switch 2 version. Honestly, I was thinking about buying Pro Skater 1+2 on Switch just to have a portable version of this game. That'd be kind of fun, but yeah, really just having a lot of fun going back to this game. And then I also had this. I bought this a long time ago for like $5 or something. I don't know if this game is down. I was Googling and people were saying, no, if you update it, you can play the levels offline. I couldn't figure it out. I guess they shut the servers down, and I couldn't even figure out how to play it, because it just put me in the tutorial and I couldn't load into any of the pre-made levels. But just from playing the tutorial, this game, I understand the hate. This is awful. Feels really just not good, especially coming off of 1+2 Remake. Everything kind of feels like floaty, but also heavy. The perspective is weird. You have this like weird slam down move, which I guess is fine. I mean, that's fine. But I also just in the tutorial was like glitching out of bounds. Like that's how broken this game was. I remember it got really bad reviews when it came out, but after playing 1+2, I was like, oh, it can't be that bad, right? It's really bad. So yeah, those are the games I played in March of 2025. Also, once again, not talking Xenoblade here because I'm recording it before Xenoblade comes out, but I will have a video going over my thoughts on that in the very near future, or maybe already when you're watching this video, and I'll make sure to mention it in the April games I played video as well, because I'm sure I'll still be playing it in early April too. So as always, let me know what you guys have played in the comments down below. What did you manage to get through in the month of March? What are you planning on playing in April? And of course, subscribe here for more collecting content, but also game talk content like this, I guess. Follow me on Twitter at BoTalksGames. Check out my Nintendo news channel at BoTalksGames as well, and click on another video here to listen to me ramble even longer. Until next time, folks. Peace.